We're back with Chip Mellor. He runs the Institute for Justice, a libertarian public interest law firm. Now, Chip, I, as you know, have been called a lawyer hater because of some of my reporting. Man, I earned that reputation because lawyers claim they help the little guy. But based on what I've seen, lawyers often hurt 5 people for every one they help with their suits. So, Chip, when you told me you were starting this law firm that was going to sue governments when they grab power beyond what the Constitution permits, I was obnoxious to you, and I said, are you kidding me? More lawsuits, more lawyers? If anything, there's anything America doesn't need, it's that. But I now have to apologize for being obnoxious. I was wrong. I think you guys have opened my eyes to a lot and done some good things that really help the little guys. So,
well, thank you.
And your fans here in the audience. Well, like what?
Well, we represent people whose most basic rights are denied by government. And the rights we address are the 4 that are really at the heart of the American dream. The right to earn an honest living without arbitrary government interference, which is the subject of this show. The right to own and use private property. The right.
All right, so specific examples beside the florists.
Well, we've opened up taxi cab markets, limousine markets, casket retailing markets,
all right, well, one at a
African
time.
hair braiders.
Taxi cab market.
Mm-hmm.
I can take a taxi. There's freedom to hail a cab.
Well, you can hail the cab. Good luck in finding one in rush hour. And the reason is cabs in almost every city in this country are arbitrarily limited to a set number in order to protect the existing companies from competition. As a result, fares are higher, service is worse, and neighborhoods are underserved.
Casket?
Well, caskets turn out to be the most profitable item in a funeral. And lo and behold, what happened in about 12 states was that the funeral directors got together, got a law passed that said only licensed funeral directors could sell caskets, when in fact they're nothing more than a box and perfectly suitable to be sold by virtually anyone.
And yet intuitively this sounds good. Oh yes, only licensed people can sell it. It sounds like it's protecting me.
Well, it sounds like it, but it's not. To the extent there's any role for the government, it's only to protect public health and safety. And what you find is that far too many licensing laws don't do that. They do something else, which is to protect good old boy networks, to arbitrarily condition entry into markets. You know that in the 1950s, 1 in 20 occupations required a license from government. Today, it's almost 1 in 3.
It's always more. Government always grows. Let's take a look at some of his lawsuits.
If you don't think my work is pretty, then don't buy it. But don't tell me you don't think my work is pretty enough to give me a license.
Licensing control freaks don't just threaten florists in New Orleans. Today, 30% of people in business must get a license to work, up from 5% when I was a kid.
It was a passion.
Natasha Yantz is president of the Designer Society of America. She has an extensive portfolio and magazine features, but she doesn't have a license to practice interior design.
I'm not sure if that piece of paper or...
And that's fine with her customers, like this woman.
I liked what she did. She has a great vision.
But when this magazine ad referred to Yantz as an interior designer, Florida's Board of Architecture and Interior Design sued her.
They said, oh, she's a bad girl. She's calling herself an interior designer.
They threatened her with $25,000 in fines. Told her that if she wanted to stay in business, she'd have to work as an apprentice and pass a government-approved test. That would cost thousands of dollars and could take 6 years.
I couldn't breathe. I was crying so much.
The Institute for Justice challenged the law and won. Now they're suing over the constitutionality of a Virginia law that requires people who train yoga instructors to get licenses.
We don't have staff to do all of this, so to see all of this work that was being piled onto us, as well as the fees, was quite overwhelming.
And I found it difficult.
And Ash Patel was overwhelmed by a licensing board. He moved to America because India made it hard to start a business.
That's why I came to Texas,
where he started an eyebrow threading business.
Here we use tightly wound cotton thread to remove unwanted eyebrow hair. And that's it.
The customers like it.
Eyebrow threading is great. I'll never go back to waxing.
But Texas now demands eyebrow threaders spend up to $20,000 and a year of their lives at a government-approved beauty school that doesn't even teach threading.
I'm only asking for a fair chance to pursue my American dream.
And so, Chip, you filed a lawsuit in Texas on Ash Patel's behalf saying he shouldn't have to attend beauty school.
That's exactly right. He's being required to submit himself to an utterly arbitrary training requirement to learn things that have nothing to do with his occupation, simply to do what he's done for 20 years very successfully.
It sounds sort of dangerous, eyebrow threading. I've never even heard of it.
Well, I hadn't heard of it either, but it turns out if you ask the women in the audience, you'll find that many of them have, because it's a very, very popular means of removing unwanted facial hair, particularly eyebrows. And it came over from South Asia and the Middle East, but now is proliferating around the country.
And this test that they have to take, which costs thousands of dollars, doesn't even include eyebrow threading.
That's right. You don't get taught it when you go to cosmetology school. You're not tested on it when you go to take the test. It's utterly irrelevant.
All right, and just before we end, the 4 pillars of freedom: right to practice a business, right to your own property,
to choose the education that best meets the needs of your child, and to exercise.
What does that mean?
School choice, vouchers, tax credits, the opportunity to opt out of failing public school systems and get into private or religious schools of your choice.
And fourth?
Fourth, free speech, the opportunity to use and exercise free speech.
And these are... Well, these are the foundation of liberty in America. I hate lawyers, most of you, but I thank you for what you're doing. Thank you, Chip Mellor. When we come back, authorities say there's more need for regulation because apparently some in my state want to kill teenagers.